Here are the big issues Black LGBTQ plus people face in the next year. This evening, we begin with an open discussion topic. The LGBTQ plus community is facing attacks by politicians and evangelicals. The Black community is facing voter restrictions and healthcare challenges. Tonight, we start by opening up the table for our anchors to discuss the intersectionality of these and many other issues that are specific to or most impacting the Black LGBTQ community. So what do you guys say? What's popping off?
Where we could start? I mean,
how do you unpack all of this?
Yeah.
I mean, we're living in a time where, people would rather ban words than ban assault weapons. We're living in a time where people want to tell women how to deal with their bodies, but they don't want to face reality of real issues. Reason being, oppression.
It's like you just said. We have the unpack. We have the coming after our rights to vote. Obviously, bodily control. I mean, abortion and things like that. And now you have to add a layer of racial. There's racism. There's always structural racism already, and healthcare, and also obviously in the system. But I think it's the fire bells are ringing. We need to stand up. Action is required.
Agreed.
I don't know. Yeah.
Agreed. I feel like for whatever reason now, especially in today's climate, I'm going to call it the post-Trump era, it is so much more obvious. There's no more covert racism.
Yes.
It's like, no, we don't like you. There's no more covert sexism. It's like, no, we want to control women's bodies. There is no longer any semblance of we're trying to pretend that, okay, we actually like this portion of the community or we care about them. It's nope, we're trying to go back to the 1950s. Let's bring it back that way.
And what I tell people, it is very important to vote. The issues that we're seeing now could have been prevented with voting. People think the only time that you should vote is the presidential election. But my brothers and my sisters, you need to understand local government. You talk about police brutality. Well, policy and advocacy start on the local level with electing your attorney general. These laws and policies and procedures, when we talk about inadequate housing for our people, it starts on the local level. Are you going down to your city council meeting and assuring that monies that they receive from federal and state government is being allocated for housing, being allocated for food? The reason why people are dying, the reason why people are not prospering, is the lack of access. And the Klan don't wear hoods anymore.
No,
the Klan don't wear hoods anymore, my brothers and my sisters.
In the state capitol.
They wear shirts and ties. They wear shirts and ties, and they wear robes, and they're camouflaging themselves as politicians, and they're making rules and laws. We don't no longer have colored only, white only. No, they're creating laws such as abortion, trying to overturn Wade versus Wade, trying to overturn, the right of marriage, trying to overturn the right to whom you can love.
But what I'm hearing from everybody at this table is that we're just repeating the same thing over and over again. How do we find people to go out and vote? How do we get people to go out and vote?
Even then, they're actively in this state. They're making it more difficult even for local government to do anything. I mean, I'm part of the Community Fair Advisory Board, and then this state, particularly in Florida, they actually have stripped the power away from locals and towns to enact their own laws. That's why you don't have Walter Mayer said you can't have assault weapons. We can't even do that. So yes, you're right about active vote, but when I say action, I'm talking about actually not just only voting. I mean, I'm using it for myself. Is to be part of the system. Be in the system.
Be in the system. Speak up. Because.
But I guess we need to move on too.
And just to say, as much as it was overt then and somewhat covert now, I think Saborni touched on it, Edric touched on it, and so did you, Carvel. It's all intermingled into one. As much as it was overt then, it's just as overt now, and as much as it was covert then, it's just as much it is secret now. It's just pure systematic, where we need to change it, and whatever that looks like, we have to interject ourselves, each one of us.
Yes, we do.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus community.